everybody doing? Let's talk about Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. All right, now we don't want to talk about resumes because, but we're going to talk about Sean Porter and the caliber of opponents that Sean Porter faced, and the understanding of what Terrence Crawford has to face. So we're going to talk about it in the context of people feel that Terrence Crawford is going to knock out Sean Porter, or some people feel so at least. And hey, to be fair, you know, when you're hyping up a fight, when two boxers clash, that's what you hope for. You hope for a knockout, right? But here's the thing. Sean Porter at welterweight. We're just going to talk welterweight for a minute, and then we're going to talk about their career-wise. At welterweight, Intangible Boxing, what's up? Pretty convinced on my pick for this fight. Okay, good for you, man. Tell me your pick. All right. Sean Porter has faced the following people, and these are actual champions today, or were champions when he faced them. He faced Devin Alexander, who was the IBF champion. Faced Kell Brook, lost to Kell Brook, who became the IBF champion. He then faced Keith Thurman, right, who was at the time the WBC WBA champion. He then went on to face, I believe it is Danny Garcia, and he became the WBC champion. He then faced Dennis Ugas. I want you to see the amount of guys at welterweight at least. Dennis Ugas, who was the number one contender for the WBC title, got the decision on Ugas, who's now currently the WBA champion. I think he's still super champion. I think they still have the super championship, but I hope they get rid of it. He also then went on to face Errol Spence Jr., who was the IBF world champion, because Errol beat Kell Brook. That's 6 guys. All right, and these are all world champions. Now, what's important about this? Every one of those 6 guys that I see or I've seen tells me that Sean had fought cookie cutters. All right, he fought punchers, he fought skill boxers. He's fought, I think, 3 southpaws in his entire career. The much ducked Ray Robinson. He's also faced Errol Spence Jr. And the third one is, it'll come to me. But he faced 3 southpaws in his career. Beat 2. Errol was a close fight. But they gave, because of the knockdown, I guess they gave it to Errol. But in my personal opinion, I thought Sean won that fight. So I'm just putting to you the caliber of fighter that you see. He has 3 losses, 1 to Kell Brook, to Keith Thurman, it was a close fight, and to Errol Spence Jr., right? Split decision win for Errol. Now, having said all of that, the whole point behind this is I try to keep on telling people that there's not going to be any knockouts in this fight. But what I do expect in this fight is that Sean is going to have to very convincingly beat Terrence Crawford to get a decision against Terrence Crawford. I'm going to say it again. Sean Porter cannot have a close fight with Terrence Crawford. He has to make some sort of emphatic statement to separate himself from Terrence Crawford so that he can win that fight. Whatever game plan they eventually come up with, he and Kenny Porter on fight night, I can tell you for a fact that it has to be one in which they convincingly beat Terrence Crawford. Because, as I said before, Sean won a lot of rounds against Errol Spence. And even with the knockdown, I thought Sean won that fight. And I think a couple of people said that. It's kind of like with Keith, but Keith Thurman was a little bit different. And that Keith Thurman, he was dropped and then he was hurt in the 10th round. And even though Keith Thurman outlanded Manny Pacquiao throughout the fight and was taking over the fight, you know, it's very hard to get that fight to Keith Thurman after he's been injured twice, right? And I guess similarly in a close fight, you're looking at the guy, did he really drop Sean Porter? Did Errol really drop Sean Porter? He couldn't finish off Sean Porter. Sean Porter was, it just so happened, and I mean it was a hellacious left hook that Errol Spence hit Sean Porter with. And Errol, is a big welterweight, right? Now, why am I saying all this? It has nothing to do with Sean Porter having the better competition than Terrence Crawford. I don't care about that. What I care about is I'm showing you the caliber of competition Sean Porter has faced and why he didn't have a problem going after Terrence Crawford. Okay? Because this guy has a Hall of Fame list of welterweights. He has faced every single top welterweight except for Terrence Crawford. Now, can Terrence Crawford knock out Sean Porter? Anything's possible in boxing. But I see people saying things that are unrealistic. I don't think that Terrence Crawford is going to knock out Sean Porter for several reasons. All right? I mean, Sean Porter's been in there with heavy-handed punchers. And I know knockouts come from timing and placement. I know this. But I will put it to you this way. This guy beat, well, at least he got the decision. It's questionable whether you guys believe me or not with that he beat Dennis Ugas. But the current number three welterweight in the world is Dennis Ugas right now. He beat him. Sean beat him. And Dennis Ugas beat Terrence Crawford. Now, whether you believe Sean beat Ugas or not, you could say Ugas should have gotten the decision. The point is, he got the decision over Ugas. And again, another close fight, right? My point being, Sean ends up in close fights. And sometimes he gets the decision because of his name and his work rate. Sean's got to have to do something more than that to beat Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford is esteemed very highly by the boxing public. And while I got to be honest with you, Terrence mostly is effective when he turns southpaw. He's not very effective when he's fighting in orthodox. Guys tend to be able to solve him in orthodox. When he goes southpaw, he's able to counterpunch in the southpaw stance. And he uses various things. Even if you look at him when he was actually doing the mitt work and the work with McIntyre, his trainer, you see him in the southpaw stance mostly. Now, that doesn't say that he won't go into the orthodox stance, but I notice he's really, in essence, Terrence is really a southpaw. All right? He might start off fighting orthodox, but he'll go into southpaw. All right? And Terrence is he's a very sharp, very plastic fighter. I love certain things about him that as being a southpaw myself, I try to incorporate into my game as well. But having said all of that, I love how he got this delayed timing where he could delay a punch or he could change up a punch in between throwing a punch. Now, will he have time to do that and set up Sean like that? And even if he does hit Sean with a hellacious punch, will Sean even go down? It's a totally different. This is the problem. Okay. Now, I remember Adrian Broner put Sean down in the 12th round. Now, mind you, even though he put down Sean still bullied him for the whole 12th round. Like, you can't really, it's hard to hurt Sean because Sean came from such a high weight class. So it's hard to hurt Sean. Like, Terrence is going to have to probably borrow a crowbar or something and hit Sean. Sean is in such great physical shape, it's hard to hurt him. It's very hard to hurt him. Instantaneously, he recoups, and he recoups very, very fast. So Sean's going to be bringing the heat whole night. He's going to be bringing it to Terrence Crawford. Or maybe not. Maybe Sean might just change it up and start boxing Terrence Crawford. We just never know. Sean is a guy that does all kinds of different things, right? So you never know what tricks Sean may have up his sleeve. But at the end of the day, the thing about it is that it's on Sean to convincingly win this fight. Unfortunately for Sean Porter, because he's been in so many close fights, the way Sean has to win this fight is convincingly. He has to drop Terrence Crawford, or he has to win every single round and be very clearly winning every single round, giving Terrence Crawford all kinds of problems. He has to do something very convincing to beat Terrence Crawford, you know. And unfortunately for him, Terrence Crawford doesn't. Terrence Crawford just needs to try and beat Terrence Crawford. So that's the unfortunate thing about it, and I think that's where Sean and his dad, unfortunately for them, you know, there's something called the A side and the B side, and I'm gonna say this in my own way. You don't have to share this opinion, but I think part of what determines the A side is not only the drawing power of a guy, but maybe also how he's perceived by the public. Take, for instance, let me use it again, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was expected to win every single fight, beat this guy this way, beat this guy that way. So the decision or the nod would generally move in his direction, no matter what the other guy was doing. Take, for example, Marcos Maidana. Landed the most amount of shots on Floyd Mayweather that any fighter in the history of Floyd Mayweather's career ever landed. And he still lost that fight, even though one judge called it a draw. That's the uphill battle Sean Porter will be having with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is like Floyd Mayweather. Here's how we esteem him, and we esteem him on a very, very high pedestal because of his switch hitting, because of his reaction, his counter-punching ability, and his reaction time, and the fact that he gets the job done, and he gets it done in a sensational fashion. Never mind the competition he's facing. And he has confidence, and he's always training, and he's always staying in shape, and he's always competitive. He's a very competitive guy. So because of that, all of these things, unfortunately for Sean, are going to work against him. They're going to work against him because Sean is going to have to convince everybody that, first of all, he's beating Terrence Crawford, and he's not just in there throwing punches in bunches and bringing a lot of heat and pressure, but he's sloppy on the inside. He's not really landing things. Terrence the one more landing the more accurate shots, because that's the excuse they made when Sean went up against Errol Spence. I saw what I saw, and I thought Sean beat Errol Spence. I really did. But it is what it is. So ultimately, in the end, Sean Porter is going to have to find a way to clearly win the fight against Terrence Crawford, whereas Terrence Crawford will not have that burden on him. Now, that is where I think that Terrence Crawford can get the nod in that fight. Now, having said that, if he ain't ready for Sean, which he will be, if he's not ready for Sean, he's going to be in a heap of trouble, because Sean pushes the needle. I mean, Sean makes fights very high-paced. And so I do believe Terrence will have to, in spots or in a lot of the fight, he will have to slow down the pace of the fight as much as he can by boxing on the outside first, because trying to fight Sean Porter's fight is not the best. I mean, Terrence decided, I'm going to fight Sean Porter's fight. That's nice to talk about. You know, Errol said he was going to do that, and Sean, I thought Sean beat him. Fighting a Sean Porter fight. Now, Sean's going to make you fight his fight anyway. That's just the way Sean is, because he's just that big. And what people, again, I'm going to say it again, Sean Porter, as much as he's at welterweight, as much as he looks like a small guy, he is a huge dude, okay? His bone structure, his mass and everything is a big dude. He's a big dude. That's why he's able to take the punches that welterweights are able, these welterweights probably punch like middleweights, okay? Even so, he's able to take that because he's got that big body that's scrunched down into a smaller body. So when Sean walks around, probably walks around 155, 160. But really, Sean could blow all the way up probably to, 180, 190. When he was a footballer, when he was younger, he was 200 and something pounds. So Sean is a big dude that shrunk himself down to that size. And that's why I don't think anybody in the welterweight division, I don't care if it's Jerome Ennis, I don't care who they are, nobody will knock out Sean Porter. That much I can tell you. It's not going to happen. And Kell Brook's a big welterweight. He couldn't knock out Sean Porter. So I don't think, I mean, even if you set up your punch, and if you get punched right, but this guy's an elite fighter, I don't think he's going to get punched right like that to put him to sleep. That's what I mean. But he has a hell of a chin. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Pryor. And The challenge for Sean, and that's why his dad has him up in a building, up in a mountain somewhere by himself. His father puts him through all kinds of training camps. For him to deal with himself, because he has to take himself to another level so that he can unlock that key inside of himself to separate himself from the top tier guys in the division. That's what Sean's task is. He has to find a way within himself to completely separate himself from his competitor. That's what he has to do. Otherwise, he's not going to get the decision. I don't think so. It'll be in flux. So he has to figure out a way within himself, because this is something. It's really a battle within ourselves. It's nothing to do with anybody externally. To change ourselves, we need to confront ourselves, and we need to see ourselves, and we need to deal with the issue within ourselves. And this is the beautiful challenge, because it takes an individual from one level to many levels up. You know what I'm saying? Now, within Terrence Crawford, I would challenge Terrence to do the very same thing. That in dealing with this guy, to be somebody who unlocks something else within himself, to prove people like myself wrong, to say, no, I can take out Sean Porter, or no, I'm going to get the W, and I'm going to get it in an emphatic way. Also should be something that Terrence is within himself working out at this point in time as well. Or not, he can just be himself and just do what Terrence Crawford do. But ultimately, in the end, I do believe that though this is, I think it is, at this point, at least in time, as it progresses onwards, we'll know what kind of fight it really will be. But the fact that Sean got this fight shows me how intent he is on facing Terrence Crawford. The question is, now that that has manifested itself, can Sean manifest a win? Because he was able to manifest by being very intent-filled. He was able to manifest this fight. Now, can he manifest a win in this fight? That's the question for Sean. For Terrence gets a prime opponent. We're talking top 5 welterweight in the welterweight division. Certainly could go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Maybe now, maybe later. We'll see. But definitely, Sean Porter, it has faced every single top welterweight except for Terrence Crawford. He won some, he lost some. He lost 3. He won what? 5? He won 5. Lost 3. Right? I think it's 8 top welterweights they have. And I think he won 5, lost 3. Okay? Now, this is a very great name. This is a very great opportunity for Terrence Crawford to really capitalize on, seize the moment, and establish who he is, where he fits in the hierarchy of welterweights. Because Dennis Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao. You can't top that. He beat a legend, okay? Dennis Ugas, right now, Errol was able to unify belts. That's what Errol's thing is, right? That's why he's considered, pound for pound up there, and he's the top welterweight right now. But Dennis Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford wanted Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence wanted Manny Pacquiao. Well, Dennis Ugas got Manny Pacquiao, and he beat him, okay? It's big, because we didn't expect, people who were Manny Pacquiao fans like myself did not expect Manny Pacquiao to lose to Dennis Ugas, especially with his bicep injury. Now, what I'm trying to say is that, remember, these are a couple of things I want to say that makes this very intriguing with the welterweight division. It's cooking. It's really cooking up in there. Sean Porter facing Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, by beating Sean Porter, okay, and doing it in emphatic fashion, meaning he separates himself from Sean. So let me tell you what I mean by separate. 8-4, clear win. 8-4 upwards, right? If he can do that, not make it a close fight like Sean has done in other fights, somehow separate himself from Sean Porter, he would be one of those really tip top. He'd be saying, okay, so Dennis Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao. I should get you Dennis Ugas, because Errol Spence, I messed up. Because Errol's out of commission, right? As far as we're concerned, Errol can chirp how much he wants. You got a damaged eye, bro. So you're kind of out of commission until you face somebody and we see your eyes fine, right? Even though Errol might get Ugas first, unfortunately, because it's PBC. But here's the thing: if Terrence beats Sean, Terrence gets the tippy top of the welterweights now, because you can't go backwards. If you face the top 5 welterweight, the next welterweight you gotta have has to be a top 5 welterweight. It has to be. And since Manny Pacquiao's out of the equation, we're talking Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, I believe is next in line. And then you and then you have your Dennis Ugas, Terrence Crawford, and Errol Spence, right? And Errol Spence is out of commission as far as we're concerned right now. So the only remaining guys are Ugas, Thurman, and Porter. He's facing Porter, right? So Ugas might be the next target, and Crawford might get Ugas before Errol, because Errol's eyes is screwed up, and Errol seems to be falling apart at the seams. So he looks like he might be out of the equation, which means if he could get past Sean Porter, he could have a clear-cut part, and maybe Errol might have to give up his belts, maybe not, we'll see. But he may have a clear-cut path to Ugas, which means he could get 2 belts. Now he has to beat Ugas, and again, Ugas and him have a history, and Ugas has beaten him in the amateurs. So this is not necessarily a clear-cut, easy way, because Ugas is a Cuban fighter and all of that, and we know how Ugas is, right? But maybe if he boxes Ugas, it depends on what he wants to do. If he decides to go to bang with Ugas, I don't think that's a good idea. Ugas is a big, strong welterweight. But again, who knows? Ugas has been dropped before. And he's never been stopped, but he has been dropped before. So you never know. Maybe Terrence Crawford can drop him. Maybe. I mean, Sean Porter has been dropped before, too. So, maybe this time around, maybe Terrence drops Sean, right? So, and that's how he clears the path. Or maybe drops him twice. No, that's not happening. Once probably, not twice. But maybe, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who really knows? Right? So we have to see. I mean, but what's exciting about this is, and why I'm talking about this fight in the first place, is because the compelling thing about this is that Sean Porter, if he wants to get a win, he has to make it clear. There must be no doubt in anybody's mind to be like, Sean Porter won that fight. Everybody and their mama must say that. That's the only way he's going to get that win, and he knows that. Terrence has many tools. Sean Porter has many tools, so that's not an issue. But Terrence needs to be Terrence, and he could get the win, right? So Terrence just needs to be Terrence, and he can get the win. But because he's Terrence, so once people see Terrence Crawford doing what Terrence Crawford do, even if he don't knock out Sean, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. They're going to give him the fight. If it's close, they're going to give Terrence. I'm pretty sure about that. So, what I'm saying is, that's what Sean Porter has. He should be searching within himself to see how he can get a clear-cut win. And obviously, he's putting everything into it because he said, I have to win this for my legacy. He has to win it. So, for Sean, he's put it upon himself that he has to get the W in this fight. This one, he has to get the W. So he's really going to press in a whole different way to try to get it. Whereas Terrence Crawford has always got the W. So winning's always been on his mind. He doesn't have to work his way into winning. He has a formula. They have their way of doing things so that he could get the win. And he has all kinds of skills he can resort to get the win. He'll have to know which ones to pull out the tool bag, but the point is, that is what he would be working on. And of course, I know there are people who do breakdown analysis on what Sean Porter does wrong, what Terrence does right. Some people say what Terrence Crawford does wrong, what Sean. Listen. On the fight night, whatever has to be will be. And the styles will match up how they match up. Okay? And it depends on the intent of both boxers and what they intend to do. So ultimately, in the end, we could look at technical things that Sean don't do or does do, and what Terrence do or don't do. But ultimately, in the end, it's going to be up to the two fighters to put it down in the ring. I'm beginning to realize that the more important thing is to get the fighter to do what he do naturally in the ring. And what I've learned from Barry Robinson, Million Styles Boxing, is that it's all about having the right, finely tuned system so that you can have all available options and at your disposal in a fight. Now, usually we leave it up to the fighter to make his adjustments, but you do know the corners can yell out adjustments. Well, we've seen corners yell out adjustments for fighters and all of that too. We've seen them do that in fights and stuff. But it's still going to be down to the fighter in the end. So it's all about the preparation for this fight, and we will see who. But as we get closer and closer to the time, we'll be able to figure out at least how ready the fighters are. So that's the thing that we will look into. Oh man, what we doing up in here? What we doing up in here? Intangible boxing, man. Okay, intangible. Porter versus Crawford will be a 5-4 either way. Both guys will get hurt, but Crawford will eventually put him down multiple times and out in the 10th. Oh, he thinks that Crawford will knock out Porter. I'm not leaning towards that at all, because the caliber of opposition that Porter has faced in his career. Porter has been put down, I think, 3 times in his career. I think Julio Diaz knocked him down, Adrian Broner knocked him down, and Errol Spence knocked him down. But Porter's not a guy you're going to knock out. He's just not. Just not. He's not a guy you're going to knock. And if Terrence tries to knock him out, he's going to realize, I'm not saying he's going to try. He's going to do what he do, and he's going to try and bang back and whatever. And he's going to try and break him down, I believe. And I just don't see Crawford doing that. I mean, he's a hell of a fighter. He's strong. He's a good puncher and all of that. But I don't see him knocking out Sean. I'm sorry about that one. I don't see that. And I'm saying it now. Now, maybe Sean, something happens to him. He gets ill or he gets a broken rib or something. But other than that, Sean is... Do you understand that Sean ran sprints? He would sprint from one end of the place to the next end. And his heart rate at the end of the sprint, his heart rate is slower than my heart rate and your heart rate. That's how fit Sean is. I don't think you guys don't understand the conditioning and training that dude has. It's next worldly. His father got him royal tuned. When it comes to physically, his strength and conditioning coach is crazy, man. That's the same thing for Caleb Plant. Did you know Caleb Plant could stand right there and jump 6 feet up in the air? He literally could jump from where he is and jump 6 feet up in the air onto something 6 feet tall. That's the kind of guys we're talking about. So I don't see Caleb Plant getting knocked out by Canelo either. Intangible boxing news. I got a feeling Crawford will display more variety than what Porter has ever seen. Well, he gonna fight on the inside. He showed us. He showed us in the shadow boxing and in his pad work and the body armor that he was with McIntyre. He showed McIntyre. I can't remember which one. Yeah, he showed us. He showed us what he was doing. How he's digging to the body and stuff in the southpaw stance. How he used the arms and stuff to work it, move down your guard and that kind of stuff. Edgar Zarate says Porter's gonna smoke that bud. I can't say, brother. I can't say. I know Porter is very special. I cannot explain to you guys how special Porter is and how underrated his movement and defense and all those things are, but you guys are going to see for yourself. Remember, Porter doesn't just fight on the inside. He can box on the outside. He can do it all. He also can switch hit. He can also go southpaw. Not as good as Terrence, but he can also go southpaw to get different angles. So Porter's pretty unpredictable in when he attacks you and all of that stuff. So it's going to be, and he is the shorter guy, so he's going to have the lower center of gravity and all that. It's going to be, I mean, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to let you guys see for yourself what I see with the both fighters. And both fighters have vulnerabilities. Of course, T Bud gets hit too. T Bud got dropped by Cavalier, and so what? He came back with a vengeance, right? But Porter's going to need something like that. He's going to need to drop Bud, even if it's just a a spontaneous drop. Where he dropped him, and you know, uh, Bud will obviously try to get it back. But yeah, he needs something emphatic. He needs something to say. Well, because the fight's gonna be close. It's gonna be a close fight, like you say, 5-4. You think that Bud's gonna get him out of there in the 10th? I don't see nothing like that ever happening ever to Sean Porter ever in his career. I could see Bud dropping Porter possibly. That's possible, but I don't see Bud. Porter is too strong. Do you guys even understand how strong Porter is? Errol Spence teed off on Porter with a left hand. Porter's head went, yeah. He went down, and all that touched the canvas was his glove. I've seen Porter collect a right hand left hook, a flush right hand left hook from Keith Thurman. You know Keith Thurman can punch. And Porter did not go down. He buckled, but he did not go down. I'm telling you, man, the dude cannot be stopped. Well, he probably could be stopped, but not by these dudes. Not by welterweights. You know what I mean? I don't see him getting stopped by Bud. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I'm just being honest. But we're gonna follow it all the way down to the fight time. And again, I'm gonna say this for people. I know Bud has great timing and all of that, and I know he counterpunches very well and all that, and he usually catches guys in the counterpunch. But I'm gonna say this. One, I don't see Bud knocking out Porter, but he gonna give it a damn good try. And two, I do not see Canelo knocking out Caleb Plant. I'm gonna just say that off the top. But I do see Gervonta Davis knocking out Rolly Romero. He's gonna get knocked out in sensational fashion. And the major reason why Rolly Romero is gonna get knocked out, unlike Caleb Plant and Sean Porter, is because both Plant and Sean Porter are quick twitch muscle guys. They very, very fast. They're very explosive, and they're somewhat unpredictable. Rolly's very predictable, and he's slow. He got power, but he's slow, and he keep on getting tagged up by guys who can't even punch that much. All right, and he gonna get tagged up by Gervonta and flattened. So that's my only reason why I said Gervonta gonna knock out Rolly Romero. If Rolly was, a little bit quicker and wasn't so mechanical with his counters and everything, his technique's a little bit rough and raw, I would say to you, Rolly would hang with Tank. That ain't happening. Tank gonna knock him into the next century. Tank is way too explosive for Rolly Romero, and got better defense than him. Intangible Boxing says Rolly Romero got chin checked by Anthony Yajit. There you go, right? And a couple guys beat Rolly, so Rolly stepping up to face Tank is it's suicide. It's suicide. He gonna get put to sleep in emphatic fashion. But we know this, right? So everybody agrees that Tank is going to knock out Rolly Romero. Hey, Rolly Romero makes it to the final bell. Congratulations. Prove us wrong, Rolly. Prove us wrong. Show us you got some defense. ISO 2 Code 444 says rip Rolly. R.I.P. I mean, the dude's gonna get paid. At least he's gonna get paid. But Tank is that's not a good fight for Rolly, man. He's not ready for Tank. He's just not ready for Tank yet. That's just my opinion. Maybe he can get Barry Robinson in his corner. That means secret weapon. Rolly should call up Barry Robinson and Get him to train him. Probably in a couple months, he might get some results if he works his butt off. It might work out for him. Hold on a second. but oh. But I don't see that one being a close fight at all. But Bud versus Porter, that's a different fight in my opinion. That's a different fight. And Canelo versus Plant. Those are two fights. Like I said, I think they're 50-50 fights. I called Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. I knew Tyson Fury was going to win. I just said, again, I kind of got it wrong. I thought it would go the distance because of Deontay Wilder's, what I saw him training and doing, but he didn't stay consistent to it. He abandoned it after he knocked down Tyson Fury twice. He should have stuck with what he was doing, and he probably would have made it to the 12th round. I still think Tyson Fury would have won, but he would have made it to the 12th round. He would have given Wilder, I think, a better chance. Because he's not really good at fighting going backwards against tall guys like Fury. You know, Klitschko also had that problem. Well, Fury wasn't coming to him, wasn't attacking him. But Fury's just, on the front foot, he was just popping that jab, and he couldn't miss Deontay Wilder's head. He just couldn't. Wilder keep on snapping back. You don't snap back against a guy with a longer reach. Keith Thurman learned that. And he wouldn't, for the life of him, dip. Dip, ninja, dip. He wouldn't dip to one side and cover. I told you guys. There is a move in boxing you can use to protect yourself. You dip off to your right. If you're an orthodox fighter, if you're southpaw, you dip off to your left. And you cover up everything. You push your whole body into itself. And you cover up everything. That will protect you. It can't hit you with no shot and hurt you. That's how you get your time out. Not him, boy. Wilder just kept on popping up the head, and he got knocked out in the end. It is what it is. Check yourself at all times. Yes. So I said all of this I was just talking about Sean Porter's entire top guys he faced, because I wanted you guys to understand Porter is no joke. He is one of the top 5 welterweights in the welterweight division. In fact, he's top 4. Yeah, top 4. Because it will be Errol Spence, even though Errol Spence have a busted up eye. I keep on saying that. Then it's Terrence, right? Really, it should just be Terrence, then Ugas. Errol shouldn't even be in the equation right now. It should be Terrence, Ugas, Sean. There's no Pacquiao. And then it will have Thurman and maybe Garcia. Right? Because we got Ennis. Ennis is on the verge. We got Mikey Garcia as well. So depend which Garcia you're talking about, right? Danny won his set of fights. He lost the last fight to Errol. So I think Danny and then probably Mikey. Because Mikey hasn't faced Sean. Mikey hasn't faced Thurman. Mikey hasn't faced Kale. Mikey hasn't faced Ugas. Mikey hasn't faced the other top welterweights out there. So it would probably be Danny, who's number 5. So that's what we're looking at. That's the itinerary. And Sean faced everybody else except for Crawford. So he's going to try and face Crawford. Now, Crawford, if Crawford could drop Sean like how Errol dropped Sean, that would be good too, But he gotta have to look out for Sean. Sean's gonna be coming for him to get that knockdown back. But we'll see how the fight goes and everything, and see what will happen. People are feeling that Crawford's gonna knock out Sean. I don't know where people are getting this from. I think it's because Crawford knocked out Kell Brook. And he also knocked out all the other welterweights. He's been on a knockout spree with the welterweights. And in junior welterweight, he knocked out almost everybody except for Victor Postol. He dropped Victor Postol a couple times, though. And I think Crawford's got that confidence because he's been knocking down or knocking out guys all the time. So I guess he's going in with that confidence and of course that work ethic. He's been working, and improving himself while he wasn't getting those big fights. So I think he feels he's ready now for Sean Porter, and Sean Porter feels he's ready for Terrence Crawford. So they're gonna clash. They're gonna clash. I'm gonna love it because I know it's gonna be an action-packed fight. I know the pace of that fight is gonna be ridiculous. Sean's always in a high-paced fight, so it's gonna be very, very entertaining. You know how exactly that fight will pan out, I don't know, but I'm gonna say it again. I know I've been saying this for a while now with various fighters. I've been saying this fighter won't knock out that fighter. But I did predict with the Tyson Fury thing that there was going to be a number of knockdowns. And boy, was I right. I didn't. But what shocked me was Tyson Fury knocked down Wilder. I did not expect Wilder to knock down Tyson Fury. He knocked him down twice before the bell rang and saved Tyson Fury. Because that momentum, the whole momentum at that point in round 4 was going in Wilder's favor. And Fury was hurt in round 5. He was still hurt in round 5. So that was a great fight. I'm telling you, it was a great fight. Those guys, man, they match up really well. But I would just hope that they would have better defense. You know, Wilder didn't have, you know, even Fury getting caught by Wilder. He wasn't supposed to get. He wasn't supposed to get caught by Wilder. You know what's interesting? George Foreman talked about him and Ron Lyle. His great fight with Ron Lyle, but that wasn't a championship fight. And this fight reminded me of Ron Lyle versus George Foreman. It really did. You know, because Ron Lyle knocked down Foreman. Foreman looked like he going to get knocked out. And then Foreman come back, knock down Ron Lyle. And then Ron Lyle knocked down Foreman. And then Foreman knocked down Ron. Well, this fight was kind of like that. You know, Tyson Fury just knocked down Deontay Wilder. You know, it looked like Wilder was on rubbery legs. And then he came up with a big right hand and knocked down Tyson Fury, and then came back and knocked down Tyson Fury again, and then they were just going to and fro. You know, Tyson Fury was beating the crap out of Wilder, and all of a sudden Wilder would catch him with a right hand, and Tyson Fury would get all wobbly and stuff. It was really interesting. It was like a to and fro, even though Tyson Fury was basically breaking down Wilder with his jab, that big piercing, big jab, you know. But anyway, back to Crawford and Porter, because I'm all over the place. Going into almost the next hour again of this stuff. I just think that Crawford is exceptional fighter. Porter is an exceptional fighter. I'm just thinking that a fight like this. Oh, let me give you a little bit of Crawford's ilk. I'm going to call some names that some of you guys. So here's some things that Crawford did nobody else did. Crawford stopped Felix Diaz. Those of you know who Felix Diaz. Felix Diaz gave Lamont Peterson a run for his money when they were at super lightweight or junior welterweight, right? Light welterweight. So Felix Diaz came in and had Terrence Crawford confused his ass because Terrence could go southpaw orthodox and change up the angle. So when Felix Diaz tried to roll a punch this way when he's in the orthodox stance, Terrence Crawford comes southpaw and catch him this way, right? And that was an interesting fight. How he handled Felix Diaz, and Felix Diaz was quality. The other kid, I'm trying to remember what his name is. It'll come to me. At 140, okay. Victor Postol was also a quality fighter, and Terrence messed him up, beat him up. Knocked him down a couple times. But the other quality fighter I thought he faced at 140, it wasn't just Felix Diaz. It was another guy. It was before Felix Diaz. I'm trying to remember what the guy's name is, but I can't remember his name right now. That guy, hold on a second. I'm going to get him for you. I'm going to get the name of the guy. T-Bud Crawford. Yeah, the Haitian. Derry Jean. Derry Jean was also a quality fighter, and Terrence Crawford dispatched him. I will never forget those two guys, Derry Jean and Felix Diaz. What he did to those guys, and those guys were suave, skillful, fighters. And boy, Terrence Terrence Bud Crawford messed those guys up. And then also he beat up Victor Postol at 140. At 135, really nobody a note that you need to know about. Yorkers Gamboa was a good win for Terrence. But Ricky Burns was a good fighter. Went up into Ricky Burns' territory, beat Ricky Burns in Scotland, I think it was. And then we had what's the guy name? Oh. Ray Beltram was the other guy. He beat Ray Beltram. So you know. But why am I mentioning those guys? I'm just saying there were some quality guys in there that Terrence Crawford beat. There were some other guys that wasn't quality. I mean, he just beat them up, but there were some quality guys in there that Terrence Crawford beat. And then I was Derry Jean, Felix Diaz, Yorkers Gamboa was a quality guy, you know, and Victor Postol was a quality guy, you know. At 147, quality guys that he faced, because Kell Brook was a quality guy. You know, Kell Brook, even though, okay, so people was talking about his weight and stuff and welterweight or whatever, but he was strong. He was good. I mean, he got hit and that was that, but he didn't get to recover like he wanted to. But Kell Brook, you know, quality guy. That's a quality guy. Kell Brook's still a quality guy to this day. It's just the way how he went behind Eddie Hearn's back. I thought that sucked. But anyway, it is what it is. Who else is a quality guy at 147? Jose Benavidez was a quality guy. He ain't fought since he got beat by Terrence, though. But I think he's supposed to have had a comeback fight. If he hasn't had a comeback fight as yet. Jose Benavidez. So we'll see what's up with him. He's a quality guy. Anybody else at 147 that's quality? Jose Benavidez was a quality guy. You know what I mean? Kell Brook was a quality guy. American was faded. I don't like talking about American. They say Terrence is training him to face Kell Brook. American says it's difficulty to train for Kell Brook, but whatever. But quality guys, I like to talk about quality guys, you know. And Jose Benavidez, he had potential. He's a quality guy. And Terrence got him out of there. I was kind of shocked, you know. And Kell Brook was a quality guy, and Terrence got him out of there with a check hook. He ran into. Now the reason why Kell Brook ran into the check hook, do you know why? Do you know why he ran into that check hook? And it's something that orthodox fighters tend to run into. Even though Terrence was practicing that hook over and over, and Kell didn't realize it. But once Terrence went southpaw, because Kell was beating him up going orthodox, and then even when he went southpaw, Kell was catching him. But you know why Kell ran into that? Because Kell, see, he wasn't using his lead hand properly. Because you're supposed to look out for that. And to shoot the right, you want to misdirect and you want to circle correctly. So he didn't, because he wasn't keeping Terrence's lead occupied, meaning he wasn't touching Terrence's lead hand to make sure that it stayed home before he shoot the right. You notice Terrence does that. Terrence will occupy Terrence, Errol Spence, Jerome Ennis. They all occupy one hand to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be, and then they shoot with the other hand. And the mistake Kell made was he just shot. He just shot with the right hand, and he got caught with a check hook. And it stunned him because he wasn't expecting it. So you can't just remember when you're fighting a southpaw, you gotta circle him a certain way. You gotta use the lead hand a certain way. Because you could also catch him with a hook. You could hook off your jab. We've seen it with Teofimo Lopez did it against Lomachenko. Again, occupying. You shooting the jab to occupy the opponent's hand, keep their hand at home, so that he don't shoot that hand. He don't shoot a hook like Terrence Crawford did to catch you. So that's the problem that Kell Brook did. He was supposed to occupy Terrence Crawford's lead hand first and get the angle on him and then shoot the right hand. And I think he was shooting a right hand to Terrence Crawford's face or something. But he wasn't shooting it so well. And Terrence Crawford kept on telegraphing what he was about to do. Telegraphing that he was going to hook him. You know? So you got to cover your bases, because in boxing, it's all about, you want to mount offense, you got to make sure you got your defense there just in case the offense is coming, you know? So, yeah. But Kell Brook is a quality fighter. He's a quality fighter. I think that his best wins at welterweight were Kell Brook and Jose Benavidez. I wouldn't say Amir Khan. I wouldn't say Jeff Horn. You know, I wouldn't say them guys. And I wouldn't even say Kavaliauskas, even though Kavaliauskas was a top 10 welterweight at the time. And has proven, has proven to be at least decent European fighter. He's decent. And how he fought Terrence really was an improvement from how he fought Ray Robinson, who I thought beat him. And I thought Ray Robinson should have faced Terrence Crawford. Again, not no top tier welterweight, no fault of Ray Robinson. But, a solid guy. Not so solid, actually. He didn't have good base or anything, but he's a guy that, he's an okay fighter, you know what I mean? So, I wanted to see some better competition. So we getting better competition now. Terrence is going to be facing much better competition here, significantly better than anything he has faced career-wise, I think, especially offensively and defensively. So we'll see how that whole matchup pans out, man. We'll see how it all pans out. Anyways, I got some more topics I will talk about in a later time. Intangible, and who were the other people that came in, chimed in for a second and left? We had Intangible, we had ISO Cold 444, Edgar Zarek. Edgar Zarek thinks that Porter's going to smoke Bud. I don't know what'll happen, brother, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's going to smoke Bud. We'll have to wait and see. And that'll tell us how the division will stack up. Intangible thinks that Bud is going to stop. He's going to stop Porter somewhere in the 10th. I just don't see that happening. A lot of people even say that, Caleb's going to win probably the first 6 rounds, and then Canelo going to start bringing the thunder on Caleb as he figures him out. I don't see that either. The major reason why I said that, again, is if I look at how Caleb fight Porky and Uzcategui and, what's the guy name? Caleb Truax. To me, he continuously is a step ahead of his opponent. That's the only reason why he's able to do what he do. Now, do I think that he will be able to put pressure on Canelo? Show us a little bit more dimension to him? He did a little bit of it with Uzcategui. Can he do that with Canelo? Can he push Canelo back? Can he make Canelo respect him and his power? I think he can. I know he did with Uzcategui, and even with Porky. Porky got tagged. He got tagged really hard. And you saw Porky's face was a bloody mess at the end of the fight, and his body. Because Caleb Plant would go with those left hooks to the body. Oh, Caleb mixes it up a little bit more and goes to Canelo's body a little bit more. Win, lose, or shine. Landing or not landing, it should go to the body some. Because Canelo is also equally as fast and as quick as Caleb is, as we saw in the showdown between the two of them in the press conference. So, Canelo's pretty fast himself. So we're going to see what's up. Ultimately, in the end, people don't feel that Caleb punch hard, but I think Caleb just don't put he don't put a lot of oomph into his punches all the time. He just touch you with a punch. And but we will see. We'll see what happens ultimately in the end. Caleb like to triple up his jabs. He do triple jabs, double jabs. He uses a lot of jabs. So Caleb actually jabs a lot more than usually you see. My question is, can he mask those jabs with feints? Can he feint with his feet? Is it just a basic feint? I mean, or is he going to show some more levels? Because he's going to need to be a level or two higher than he currently has been fighting at. So we'll see what happens with Caleb Plant as well. And he's got to keep his defense on point with Canelo, but I think he got that defense. He just need to be careful about the overhand right. That overhand right catches him on the side of the head all the time. And he's going to have to be careful with that because he's going to get caught with that. So hopefully he keeps the high guard up or something to block that overhand right from looping around and hitting him on the side of the head. Because that's something Canelo's good at doing. Being a Mexican fighter. Looping that right hand over the shoulder. So we'll see. All he need to do is dip to one side, but again, if he's never done that before in his life and he hasn't been doing that, Anyways, people, man, what you need in the building. It's been an hour I spent with you guys talking about Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter, and particularly about Sean Porter's the kinds and calibers of fights he's had in preparation for this fight and what Sean Porter needs to do to make sure that he gets a victory over Terrence Crawford. And with Terrence Crawford, it's less taxing, but I would suggest he train just as hard because he's gonna need to have cardio and he's gonna have to be pushing it very hard for 12 rounds. He's definitely gonna go 12, I think, but it's gonna be a tough 12, But we'll see what really comes down ultimately in the end, and whether Terrence can make it to the finish line, and at the end of the finish line is a part of goal, because if he gets past Sean, then he's going to have all those PBC top guys available to him. So we'll see how that goes. Nobody's getting any younger, so they might as well get it on, and that'll be good for us because we get to see more matchups. So hopefully that will be the deal. We'll see how it goes, though. I am what you need. If you like this channel, don't forget you can subscribe, share, comment, and donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. You can also speed up this video and all my successive videos to 2x. My eyes are red. I'm definitely sleepy because I ate a ton of food. So I need to go in my bed and sleep at this early hour of the night. I might put up a couple more videos, though, before I go to sleep. Of course, this is just an entertainment channel, but the purpose behind it is so that you guys can have a love for boxing and for you guys to actually box. And now, I'm not teaching nobody no boxing, so don't ask me about boxing like to teach you. I'm not teaching nobody no boxing, okay? You want to go to boxing, I promote 2 sets of people. There's other YouTube channels you can also check out too to learn how to box. All of them are good that I refer you to. But particularly Coach Eric Bradley Master Boxing. Check out Master Boxing on YouTube, and you can go to their site. And the other person is Barry Robinson. Just look for Coach Barry Robinson on YouTube and follow him. And then you can go to IG. He posts up a lot of stuff on IG. Just Coach Barry Robinson again. And then you can also check out A Million Styles Boxing. Just Google that, and you go to the site, and you can purchase tutorials and learn how to box and learn how to run different things. And if you need to be accountable, held accountable, etc., etc., etc. That's what I'm going to do very, very soon. And I always advise you to check out those guys. Those are the real deal. They're not just about entertainment, and they're not just about giving you little tips and stuff. They really want to train people and get them into programs where they can seriously box, okay? So those 2 guys I just told you about, one is coming from the lineage of traditional coaches, giving you the traditional thing. Coach Barry Robinson has some other unique systems based on his extensive uh, film studies of different fights from way back in the day to present time. He looks for ways to win. He looks for ways to beat opponents. So Coach Barry Robinson has a system in place that can help you dramatically improve your boxing. But you have to put in the work, and you have to be held accountable, and you have to do it right. So I just like to promote those two guys I saw on YouTube. There are other channels like Precise Striking, which gives you nice little tips and stuff. You got Moreno Valley Boxing. You got Moreno Boxing. Sorry. You got several different channels, which again, they help you with tips and simple things, kind of break down boxing in a simple way. More in-depth, advanced stuff you get from Coach Barry Robinson, and also from Master Boxing with the Fight Doctor, Coach Eric Bradley. Okay, who's generational. He's a generational coach. He's got a lot of information. He's been in the amateur programs in boxing, and he's a professional coach as well in the professionals. So, very excellent coach. And again, has a system under which you would be training under. But I just wanted to say, those are two great people I've met in my discourse on YouTube, and they really are going to make boxing a better place. Now, as for boxing fans, you don't need to know all of that stuff that maybe those coaches are doing, but hey, you should probably also get the tutorials and stuff and start doing the exercises and stuff. Even if you never maybe throw hands or have a professional boxing career, I suggest you do it anyway. And maybe some of you will choose to have professional fights. I see that again. I'll just refer to Ness and the Boxing Voice, and that they have professional competitions. And maybe get yourself into a professional competition and do some fighting, or even an exhibition. But I suggest you do some fighting, but after getting trained and stuff. Don't just go in there. And I suggest you do it because it's very good. It's very healthy for you. Now, I'm very sleepy. That's why I'm rocking to and fro like this. You know me, I always bust a yawn on these things and stuff. I'm only going to be myself. I'm always going to be authentic. As authentic as I can possibly be. So here I am rocking back and forth. I do little film studies, but it's superficial stuff. Like I said before to you guys, boxing's way more than I'm talking about. And the details, when you get to the high level, there's a lot of details. But it starts off very simply. So don't think that, boxing is, oh my, I gotta learn all these things and blah. No. Take it easy, one step at a time. It's just one little things you gotta learn, and so on. And you go from there. It's a simple box step, and then you move from there, okay? So don't worry. And as I wish I was a much more friendly interfacer with fans, and much more sort of nicer to you guys. But I like the way I am, and I'm not going to try and pretend to be something I'm not. So I just advise you guys, and I just suggest to you guys out there in YouTube land, that you pick up the sport. Now, I don't mean professionally, but get in the gym or get some of your gym stuff and start working out at home. It's very good for your health. It's very good for you. I'm just sleepy, so I'm rocking back and forth. You gotta excuse me. But it's a beautiful sport, and if you look at my eyes are red, right? And I'm very happy and privileged to know about it. And I try sometimes to break down things in a very simple way, not trying to be too elaborate. You can go on fan sites as well as forums, and you can talk your butt off as well. It's fun. I like boxing. I like boxing. But I always talk about the mentality a fighter has, and all of those things, just to sort of give you guys a perspective on how the sport is. I'm trying not to curse and swear as much anymore. I'm trying to be cleaner in my conversation, but otherwise, because I am a Christian, believe it or not. So we're going to try our best to try to be more patient with people. It's hard, though. It's hard when people are saying some ridiculous stuff. But it's good when I see people who are not saying ridiculous stuff, and they make sense. So it was good to be on Coach's channel and learn a thing or two from him, just by just listening, because I hadn't followed Coach Barry Robinson like that for a little minute. Whew. Oh man, and I have gas too. Right, so what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? I'm punch drunk right now and I'm very sleepy. But I'll catch you guys later, man. What you need. I might put out another video. This video went for an hour, 5 minutes, and 48 seconds. Good God Almighty. Man, I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.